Hi, this is Pastor Dave. Welcome to Persistent Hope. We've been talking this week about the patience of God. Jesus was a perfect example of God's patience. He was heading to the cross, and hours before, he went to a garden called Gethsemane so he could pray. While he was there, a large group of soldiers, being led by Judas, the one who betrayed him, would come and arrest him. Now, that story, as told in the Gospel of John, tells how, as the people surround Jesus, the Apostle Peter loses his patience and tries to take matters into his own hand. He picks up a sword and cuts off the ear of a servant. By the way, do you know why he cut off the servant's ear? Because the man ducked. What would you do if you had a sword coming toward the middle of your head? Now, as the Gospel of Matthew continues the story, it says Jesus stooped down, picked up the ear, put it back on the man, and healed him. Then he looked at Peter and said, "Don't you know that right now I could call thousands of angels? And honestly, one angel would have been plenty." But Jesus was showing Peter, don't let my patience fool you. I'm in charge. You know, for us, when things don't happen fast enough, or when things don't go the way we want, we lose patience. You know why? Because we're looking at now. Right now, we're stuck in traffic. Right now, my health isn't what I want it to be. Right now, my job is driving me crazy. But God's timing is always different than ours. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, God said this, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, and neither are your ways my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my thoughts and ways higher than yours." You see, hope is knowing God will always be the one who he is. He will always be in charge. He will never change. Hope is knowing that even if my present situation is difficult, there is a bigger, better story. God is at work. While not everything that happens is his will, he can and will use everything that happens for his glory. 2 Peter chapter 3 says, "But don't forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day." The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand slowness. He is patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance. God is patient. He's always waiting to hear from you. Why don't you talk to him sometime this weekend and just bow your head and say, "God, thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for being patient with me." God bless. Talk to you next week. Okay, you guys, so this whole journey of Christ is a hard journey because we always have to learn to live with the sense that God knows what he's doing and he's in charge. And boy, sometimes things happen and it just doesn't feel like it. So I thought I'd give you to kind of chew on for your next time. I don't know, you may not be listening to this on a Friday when I'm doing this for the radio. But I want to take you to the book of Colossians chapter 3. And I want to explain to you what it's like when we who follow Christ reflect the patience of God. Verse 12, "Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved." Now that holy and dearly loved means the fullness of God's love is on us. We don't have to earn it. We can't lose it. We are already loved. Because of that, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Let's take a look at those 5 words and let's all freely admit we can't do it. Compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience. All fruits of the Spirit, which means the Spirit has to be the one that does it in us and through us. I can't be compassionate by myself. I'm sure not kind by nature. I'm pretty self-focused. Then it goes on to say in verse 13, bear with each other and forgive whatever grievance you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. So forgiveness comes when we realize we are forgiven. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiveness doesn't mean it wasn't a big deal. Forgiveness doesn't mean the other person may not fully understand what they did. Forgiveness just means because I have been forgiven, I can forgive. Then it says, it wraps it up in verse 14, and over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. You see, it's the love of God that allows us to reflect that patience and that hope and that mercy to our world. I close with a great little verse from Proverbs, which is just good for us when we think about, I want to grow strong in my faith. I want to grow strong in the Lord. I want to be more patient. I want to be more compassionate. Here's what it says in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 32. Better is a patient man than a warrior. A man who controls his temper is better than one who takes a city. Learn to go to God and recognize all you can't do, because then you'll begin to understand all He can do, and you can walk in terrific freedom and patience. God bless.